All right, so I do a lot of relocation business from people moving all over the country, from New York, New Jersey, California, you name it. And today I'm here with my friend Phil, who came down from actually New York and has all kinds of questions that actual people need to hear about. And I can't wait to see what you have.
I can't wait to jump into these bad boys.
Me neither. And as always, this information is on the house.
Okay, so Sean, I have a question about the building process, timing. How accurate are builders' timelines?
Yeah, so that's a great question too, because it's very important for you to time where you're moving from. If you have a home to sell there, you don't want to be homeless in between, right? So that's a big thing that we try and mitigate as much as possible. Builders typically will quote you 6 to 8 months. You know, during that's going to sway a little bit sometimes during the summer when we get a little bit more rainy season here in Florida. Then we move into hurricane season. That can delay things, but generally they build that into the 6 to 8 months. But then, we're talking a little bit timely stuff here because it's happening in the world, but tariffs and, supply shortages, things that have happened during the COVID years. I'm seeing builders using different materials. So them shifting from, concrete block to wood, and are their supply chain going to meet those demands? Say Lennar is going to build 6,000 homes in Central Florida this year, and they switch from block to wood. Can their supply chain meet the demands? Even though it was pre-negotiated, we don't know that as a consumer, so that could affect times. Windows, things like that. That sometimes if they're custom windows, every home has several different size windows, and I'm seeing one of the builders too. Every window in the house is the same size.
What happens? Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
What happens if the costs or the rates change during that building process?
Yeah, so the price of the home is generally locked in. During COVID, we did see where builders put in an escalation clause. So their costs went up, so your costs went up. And we saw a lot of consumers back out of that deal. But now, as far as the cost of the home is pretty insulated. There shouldn't be anything that's gonna, if you contract the price for the home, those escalation clauses aren't really in the contracts anymore, but we do need to be careful. We should look that over with a lawyer just to make sure, because their contracts are different than what we use as realtors, and I want to make sure you're protected. But interest rates are a whole different ballgame. So interest rates, you're not going to be able to lock that rate in until your home is almost ready, because they're not going to give you a rate in January and your home's not ready till July, because so much could change in your benefit or their benefit. For that reason, you can't lock in usually till about 45 to 60 days before your home is ready to close.
Gotcha. What delays are still common in Central Florida?
There's always going to be something, because they're built by humans, right? So the human factor is probably the biggest thing. Humans and weather that we can't control. There's going to be, again, labor shortages, and to build one home takes several different trades. Roofers, carpenters, plumbers, HVAC, tile, all those kind of people have to come together and be timed right. And the people have to show up, and they have to be able to handle the workload, because tradespeople tend to go where the money is. So if this builder's paying more to do roofs, then a lot of the trades might move to that builder, and then this builder's stuck. Maybe your builder might get stuck with that. And then weather obviously delays things, but we don't see that too much here in Central Florida. It's more viable on the coasts, especially during hurricane season. We've been lucky the last few years. We really haven't had any delays, but those are small delays that they can usually make up for.
Well, is it safer to buy a spec home than build from the ground up because of that supply and demand that you kind of?
Well, it depends on your needs. If you're building today, the spec home, the price is the price, and you'll probably get a better financial deal on it. But I say, you lose some of the personalization of the home if you buy a spec home. If you're going to build, you might get to choose the color of the cabinets and the flooring, things like that.
Gotcha.
But you have to wait for it. So it depends on what's going on in your life, timing wise. Do I need to move now, or can I wait 6 or 8 months? Do I want to live in a short-term rental in the meantime? I've got somebody, by the way.
So Sean, I'd like to ask you about, I have a question here about community growth and long-term living.
Okay.
How long does it usually take for a new community to feel done?
Yeah, so that's a great question too, because communities come in all shapes and sizes, right? And the infrastructure is generally there before they start selling. So you don't have to worry about the roads and the lights and the retention ponds and things, but you have to wait for every last home to be built. And generally, builders will put a separate construction entrance so that dump trucks aren't whizzing by your house and causing dust and dirt going inside your home. But it really will depend on how big the community is. You know, there's some communities that are 80, 90 homes and some that are 6, 7, 800 homes or bigger. And we're seeing a lot more of the bigger versions lately. So it could take upwards of 5 years, depending on, again, the builder's capabilities of hiring trades that can handle that much production, the state of the economy, you know, how quickly are they selling them? If interest rates all of a sudden drop down to the fives again or lower, we're going to see a big uptick, and the building time will probably go longer because they don't have enough people to build the homes fast enough. So it all depends on, you know, where you're at, the type of builder you have. If it's a custom builder, the build time is going to be considerably longer. But as far as a community feeling done, once you see the clubhouse go in, if the community has a clubhouse, once that goes in, that means they're getting ready to finish up, because they don't want the first people, not that they don't want it, but the first phase of people aren't going to have that. The second phase of people, now they've got enough people in there, they demand it. And that's usually like, okay, we're finished with this and we're selling the last remaining lots. We're about a year out. So I would always say 3 to 5 years if you're early in. If you're one of the first homes being built, plan on 3 to 5 years, more than likely.
So who gets the better deal? The early buyers or the late buyers?
So both, really, because the early buyers, even though it might be a spec builder that has homes ready, they might not give you a deal, because why should they? They don't know their demand yet. So, but they do want to start putting up sold signs. So they want to kind of get the talk out there. So you might get some good deals, incentives. What happens is they're only going to release a certain number of lots. So you can't say, hey, I want the one down by the lake, because they're going to say, well, we're not going to release that for another year, probably. You have to build up here. You might get deals because you're forced into only these few home sites. But on the back end, when they're closing out, they want to get their trailers and their community and their sales reps and all their advertising pulled out and down. So they usually do give really good deals towards the end. You could find opportunity on both ends, but generally on the back end, they've already reached top price. So you might get good incentives, closing costs or interest rate, but you're paying a premium for the house itself. It's because they're going to, like I said, they're going to, if the first house costs $400, every time they build that house, it's going to go up incrementally, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. So by the time they build that $600 or $700 home, the price has jumped considerably, just not because it's the same exact home. They're just easing up the price so that they appraise and the value goes up incrementally.
So how does developments around the community impact or affect the value of a home?
Okay, so builders generally are looking for deals on land. So they're buying on price, but they're also trying to change the direction of that community. You know, a couple of the communities that I'm working with closely now, one is called Wellness Way. It's a multi-builder, enormous project that's going to be tens of thousands of acres. And the city or the county or the state have all negotiated, hey, if you're going to buy this land and build this many homes, you have to put in a certain amount of infrastructure. You have to build a school or set aside some land so that we can build a school. So generally, if it's one of these master plan communities, it's going to raise the value of the overall city because infrastructure is going to get better, more roads, more grocery stores, nail salons, schools, all those things are going to come to be. So there's going to be more jobs and more taxes. The tax base is going to be higher. So generally speaking, it's a good thing for the community. All right, Phil, thanks for all the questions. Join us next time, folks, because in the next episode, we're bringing Phil back and breaking down new construction, who it's really right for, whether resale works better for, and how people end up making the wrong choice. And if you want helping mapping all this out before you make the move, scan the QR code below and grab your investor playbook. It walks you through everything step by step. And as always, this information is on the house.